make it a better place. It'll take creation, imagination. Try to draw outside the line. Let us see inside your mind. You'll find inspiration. All I'm saying is you can do it. I wanna hear you say, I am independent. I am dedicated.
Hi everyone, it's Vicky here from Crafty Heaven. Thank you very much for joining me today. In today's project, I'm going to be showing you how I made this mini album using gift bags for the pages. Now you see a lot of tutorials out there on YouTube making albums using these paper bags, and these are very difficult to get here in the UK. I actually got these from American lady when we did a swap, and I've not been able to part with them, you know, to make an album with them yet, because I'm trying to find the right paper to use with these colours. So you do see a lot of tutorials using these bags, and when it's difficult for us to get them in our country, it's a bit frustrating. You're seeing all these beautiful albums being made and we can't do them. So it does get a bit frustrating sometimes. But I really wanted to make, you know, a paper gift bag, well, a paper bag mini album. So when I went into the range a few weeks ago, they had these gift bags in the craft section, and there is, they have a pound section, and this is where they was. So you get 4 in a pack for £1, and they also have some mini ones as well. And I'm going to attempt to do a mini album using these, and I might use these ones with the Christmas Memories and More card pack that will be coming in the new holiday catalogue in a few weeks. So yeah, so when I saw these I had to get them, but I wasn't sure how I was going to make an album out of these, because obviously there's not a lot of space here for a photo. So it took me a while to think what I could do. But I figured it out, and I actually made these into a pocket and added a photo mat. So yeah, so you'll find these in the range, okay? And this is what I had come up with, and I'm so pleased with how it's turned out. And it is using the Warmth and Cheer Designer Series paper pack, and this is a 6x6 paper, and you'll find this in the clearance rack. And as you can see, I've used majority of the paper. I've also used cherry cobbler cardstock. So as you can see, I've not decorated it, because I'm actually going to do a second part video to this next week, showing you new products from the holiday catalogue, and they're the products that I'm going to use to decorate this album. So keep a lookout next week for the second part. So I'm just quickly going to run through the album with you. So we have a photo mat here, and then these pull-outs. I'd have these large photo mats. So they just slot in to the top like that. If I can get it back in. There we go. And I may add some ribbon to them. I'm not entirely sure. And then we open it this way, and we have a small photo mat in this pocket, these flaps here, again another big photo mat, and a pull out at the top, and these are double-sided photo mats. And like I said, I've not decorated yet because I thought we could do that next week. So because this is going to be a bit of a long video anyway, so yeah, and I love the fact that it doesn't pop back open, and the fact that I've not had to add ribbon to keep it closed. Yeah, so I can't wait to actually complete it with you next week. So if you want to know how to make it, then let's get cracking on. I'm going to open these up, and they do tend to stick, so you just need to just carefully pull them apart, but don't worry about the inside because no one's going to see that. Okay, so you have, these are where the handles are, so you just gotta get a craft knife and you just gotta run it alongside each handle like this. So I'm going to peel this one back so you can see. Okay, and then all you're going to do is lay it back down flat and just pull it, and it will just pull it out like so. Okay, do the same to the other side. So lay it all flat, and there we go. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So if you find that any bits inside are sticking up, just go in with your bone folder and just press it all down. Okay, I don't want this scallop edge here, so I'm actually going to trim that off to have a straight edge. And because there's quite a lot of layers, you need I've got my guillotine here, so if you've just got a paper trimmer, then just run it through your trimmer a few times. But whilst I've got my guillotine, I might as well use it. And you're only cutting off just a slither. Okay, so as you can see, I've not really cut off a lot. So now what we're going to do is you're going to get your bone folder. And because paper bags are not always, you know, lined up exact, I can't say the word exact. I think that's the word. Oh dear. You know what I mean. Lined up properly. Just go along with your bone folder and just give it all a good crease. Okay. And if it looks like they are, you know, not lined up, just line all your bag together and then just go over it with your bone folder. Okay, so I'm going to continue your folding and burnishing with your bone folder. We're going to decorate the bags first before we attach it to the binding. And the paper I'm using is the Warmth and Cheer Designer Series paper stack, and you'll find this in the clearance rack. And as you can see, I've used the majority of the paper. So you are going to need 4 pieces, okay, and this part is to go, right, let me just check that I've got these in the right order first. Okay, so for this section here that's going to go behind the bottom part of the bag, you'll need 4 pieces of these papers that measure 5 3/8 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch, and I just cut it just before those measurements because each bag will measure different to one another. So I just cut the paper just slightly under those measurements that I've just given you. Okay, and then that will give you a neat little border all the way around. Okay, so again you need 4 of them. You'll also need 4 pieces that measure 5 3/8 by 5 7/16 of an inch. Nope, that's this piece here, sorry. 4 of these that measure 5 3/8 by 5 7/16, and that's to go on the back. And then for these pieces, 5 7/16 of an inch by 3 7/16 of an inch, and that's going to go on there. And like I said, for this one, on all your measurements, just cut them slightly smaller underneath, you know, just under those measurements they've given you. Don't worry, I'll have all the measurements on my blog, so just sit and relax and enjoy the video. Don't bother writing the measurements down, so I'll have them all on my blog. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back and place that on there, and then stick that down. Okay, and then before I add this piece to there, it would just be easier to add some glue to make a pocket. So we're going to add some glue on either side here, and you just want to add a thin layer of glue along the edge like so. So let me lift it up to show you. Can you see? And then you're going to stick that down, and then that will make a pocket. Okay, so I'm just going to press that down really well. Use your bone folder. Okay, now we can add this piece. And I love this paper. I'm more of a traditional girl. You know, for the Christmas colours, the red, green, gold, I prefer those colours. Just because I relate those colours to Christmas since I was a kid. So, yeah. Okay, so then we're going to turn it over. And we're going to add this piece now. And you can probably hear the children. It's the summer holidays, so I have them all, you know, my older children home, so it may get a bit noisy. Okay, and then press that down. And I'm just going to move that because that's moved. Okay, and there we go. So you're going to do that to the rest of your paper bags, okay? And we are going to add, so let me have a look how I want this to look in my album. So I'm going to have that one there. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's how I want them to be set out. Okay, so I want this to be left as it is. Flip it over. Obviously this is going to be a pocket. Then here I want to add 2 flaps. Flip it over, a pocket, leave that one as it is, flip it over, pocket, and then 2 flaps here, and then flip it over and a pocket. Okay, so to make the flaps, you're going to need 4 pieces of Whisper White cardstock that to measure 2 11/16 of an inch by 5 3/4 of an inch. And along the 5 3/4 of an inch, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, okay? And this 1/2 inch will tuck in here like so, okay? And then that will fold round. And then on this side, I'm just going to fold that over. We're going to have 1 flap coming from this direction. Okay, so let me just, like that. So they're going to open up like so. Okay, and then you've got this big photo mat in the middle. So I'll do 1 page with you. So let me just put all this back to how I want it. So the first, I open it up, and this one here is where I want to add my first 2 flaps. So I'm going to move this to one side and have this one here. So you're going to get 2 of the flaps, and you need to trim one side of that 1/2 inch at a really good angle, okay? Because on one of the pieces, because one's going to be down at the bottom here, and you have this section at the side of your bag where it angles, so it needs to be trimmed at an angle so it will fit in there perfectly like so. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So you'll just get your scissors and you just trim at an angle like that. Okay, and then we're going to line that up in there, and you just want to butt it up to that score line. You don't want it sitting on because it won't fold if you do that. So you just want to leave it just before that score line, and I'm going to move it up, and I want to leave about 1/8 of an inch border showing here. Okay, and then we'll attach that. So I want to add some glue on both sides because this section of the bag we're going to now, do I want to seal that side or do I want to leave it? Let's have a look. Let me have a think. Is it going to affect the pocket here if I do? Let me just have a think for a second. No. Okay, right, we're going to stick it down. So add some glue on both sides. Okay, and place it in there and bring it down. Remember, just butt it up to that score line, and I want to leave about 1/8 of an inch along the bottom here. Once you're happy, press that down. Okay, and I think that's just come out slightly, so I don't want. Okay, so I'm just going to add some glue to this part here on that side of that bag just to seal that section up. And there we go. So we have one flap already. So you're going to add the flap to this side. Okay. Now, this side we obviously don't want to seal up. So we only need to add the glue to one side of this 1/2 inch tab, because this side of the bag is where it's going to attach to the binding. And also you don't need to do any trimming to this either, because this is going to go at the top, you see, so it will just slot in like so. So we need to add the glue on the inside of that 1/2 inch tab. Okay, and then we're going to slot it in, and again butt it up to that score line. And then leave 1/8 of an inch gap at the top here. And once you're happy, just need to move that up slightly, then press that down. Okay, so I'm going to get my bone folder and just go over that. And then you'll still have this section here for your binding. Okay, so you can seal the other side, just leave that side as it is. And then you've got your 2 flaps, so you could have some journaling here or some small photos, and then you've got a big photo mat here. Now we're going to add some paper. Okay, and you'll need 8 of these because we're going to add paper to both sides, and these measure 5 3/16 of an inch by 2 10/16 of an inch. Again, just cut them slightly smaller than those measurements, and they will go on top like so. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and add my paper to the flaps, and then I'm going to add my other flaps to my other page. And okay, so I've reshuffled my pages about again, just to, because I wasn't quite happy how the papers were, but now I am. Okay, and I've added my flap, so this is what it looks like so far, and I've added a hole at the top here to tell that there's a photo mat inside the pocket. And I just got my 1-inch circle punch, and I only did one side of the bag. Okay, I've left the other side as it is, and I just went in and just went in halfway and then punched it out. Okay, so we have a photo mat there, then we have a pocket here, then we have the 2 flaps here, and then one big photo mat there. Flip it over, again, big photo mat and a pocket, flaps, photo mat there, and then on the back page another pocket. Okay, and on 4 sides, which will be the left, should all still be open, so they that will attach to your binding, and then the right side should all be sealed up. So now we're going to make the photo mats to go inside the pockets. So I just grabbed them. Okay, so you'll need 4 pieces of Whisper White cardstock that measure 4 inches by 3 1/4. Then you'll need 8 pieces of paper that measure 3 15/16 of an inch by 3 15/16 of an inch by 3 3/16 of an inch. And these are going to be double, matted on both sides. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and add my paper to each of these sections here, and then we'll add them to the pages. So I've added all my paper to them, so we can add them to the pockets. So they just slide in like that. Okay, so you could do add a photo to that on both sides if you want to, like so. Okay, so now we're going to add some photo mats to go in these pockets. These ones to go in the large pockets at the top, you'll need 4 Whisper White pieces that measure 5 1/8 of an inch by 5 7/16 of an inch. Then you'll need 8 pieces of paper, because we're going to add paper to both sides, and they measure 5 inches by 5 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and we're going to add this one. As you saw, I already have done one side already, and I have done the other ones just to save time. So I'm going to just straighten that up, and there we go. Okay, so now we can add these to our pages. So let's have a look at which way I want to add them. So I want a green peeking through there, like so. Okay, then we have one here, and let's have a look. I think I want a gold one in this one. So I'm just going to line that up like so. Then on this one I want the trees. Like so. And then the last one, I want the red one. There's 2 sections in that part of the bag, so you just have to play around to see which slot it goes in. Okay, and there we go. So that's all the pockets and the photo mats all added. I'm not going to decorate it just yet. So now we're going to move on to the binding and the binding. I'm using cherry cobbler cardstock, and you need one piece that measures 1 1/4 by 5 9/16 of an inch, and then another piece that measures 1 13/16 of an inch by 5 9/16 of an inch, and you're going to score both pieces at 1/2 inch along the shorter side. Okay, at 1/2 inch one side, turn it on your scoreboard and score at 1/2 inch again, and the same on this side. Then you're going to fold and burnish really well with your bone folder. Okay, and the same with this one. And you need to give these a good crease, and we're going to give them a lot more burnishing later, because we need to make sure that the pages will lay flat. So then these two are going to lay together on top like so. Okay, and we will leave about let me just have a look and see how much, about 1/4 inch gap either side of each one. Okay, but before we attach these, I want to just trim each corner at an angle like so. Okay, and then on one side you just cut it at an angle, and at the other side you need to just cut it slightly more for it to be able to fit in at the bottom here where this angle is at the bottom. So if you can see, because we've done that as a sharper angle, it will slide in like that. Okay, and it will all slot together nicely. Whereas if you do, let me show you here, so if you just cut this at a slight angle like that, okay, and when you slot it in, it's stopping it. Okay, so you need to give it a bit of a sharper angle. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So do the same on the other side. Like so. Okay, and then we're going to attach those two pieces together. So we need to add some glue just on this section here, and just going to fold that, add the glue to that center piece. You need to make sure there's plenty of glue on this part, and then lay them together. So you need to make sure that it's level at the top and bottom, and that there's an even gap on either side. If you find it easier to trim your binding, you know, where we did the angle cuts, if you find it easier to do that when this is all stuck together, then you can do, but my preference for me is to do it the other way. Okay, so when that's all lined up, just go in with your bone folder to make sure that's stuck down, and then we're going to lift the flaps up, and if you've got any excess glue seeping out, just wipe that off. If you've got an adhesive remover, which is what I have, you can go in and rub that glue off with that. So that's what I'm going to do in a second. Okay, and then that's what it looks like. Okay, and you need to fold these over. Keep folding them over like this, and what this does is helps your pages to lay flat in your book. Okay, So I'm going to remove that glue because I don't want that stickiness there, and then we're going to do the covers. So you're going to need some thick card. I just use the card that you get when you buy a pack of Stampin' Up paper. You get some thick card in it to stop it from bending in the post. And this is, it's not really thick, but it's not too thin either. But once you've added your card and your layers to it, it thickens it up. So that's what I use. So you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 5 3/4 by 5 7/8, and 1 piece that measures 1 1/4 by 5 7/8. You're going to need some cherry cobbler cardstock, and these 2 pieces measure 7 3/4 by 6 7/8, and we're going to lay these 2 together by 1/2 inch, okay, and we will have some extra here. I wanted to make sure that I had enough, so we're going to trim off any that we don't want at the end. So I'm going to add some adhesive onto one of these panels, and I'm going to add, and I've lined it up on the 1/2 inch mark on my grid mat, and I'm going to overlap this one onto there by 1/2 inch, and I want to make sure that's straight. So I'm lining it up on my grid mat here and here, and once I'm happy, I'm going to press that down. And I know you're thinking, well, what if you're going to see that on the outside of the album? We are going to cover this section up with some paper and things, so it won't be so noticeable. Okay, so I'm going to get my bone folder and just press over that to make sure that glue is soaking into the card. There we go. So now we're going to add our covers. So you want to make sure that you leave about 1/2 inch all the way around so we can wrap that over our covers. So the easiest way I do it is I line it up on my grid mat and I get my ruler, okay, and I just line it up at any number. So for this one I'm going to line it up at 11 inches, and then I'm going to come down from the top of my card about 1/2 inch and line that up on there, my ruler on there, and then I can get my covers and then line it up with the ruler, and that way I know it's all going to be level. So I'm going to add some glue to my panel, and then I will start sticking it down. There we go. So I've added some glue, and remember you want to leave about 1/2 inch on this side as well. And my ruler has moved slightly, so I'm just going to move that back and line that up. My ruler keeps moving. I'm trying to do this one-handed, it's a bit difficult. So that looks about right, I think. And then once you're happy, then press it down. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this piece, and we're going to make sure that we leave about 1/8 of an inch gap here and here between this piece as well. You need to make sure that you leave enough gap because when you fold your album you don't want it to tear, so you need to make sure that you leave enough space, and that will prevent it from happening. So I just need to trim that slightly because it's a little bit long, so just let me trim that. Okay, so that looks about right. So now I can add glue all over this section. And then we're going to attach this one now. Sorry, my girls are playing. Okay, and then we're going to press that down with the bone folder. And you want to also make sure that the 5 7/8 is the height and the 5 3/4 is the width. Okay, because if you notice here, you're going to have this right to the edge, and you want to make sure that it has a 1/8 of an inch on top and bottom, and then about 1/4 of an inch on the side. So now we've got that down, just going to go over that with my bone folder. Okay, and then we're going to get our scoring tool and we're going to run it along the edge, and this will help our card to fold over. Oops. Okay, and then we need to trim this side, so I'm just going to get my paper trimmer, and I want to leave about 1/2 inch, so I'm going to line this card on the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, and I want to leave about 1/2 inch to wrap around my cover. So then we're going to get your scissors, and you're going to cut at an angle, and you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch in the corners, like so. Can you see? And that will give you a nice corner when you fold it. Okay. And then you need to start just lifting this up and folding it over. Just gently fold it over so it doesn't crease. Crack, sorry, not crease. Okay, and then we're just going to gently fold that over. Go along with the bone folder, because that bit there is a bit thicker. And then just continue doing that all the way around. There we go. So now we need to add some glue along here. So I'm going to get my liquid glue. You need to make sure that you add plenty. And also on the edge here. So, and then fold that over. Press that down. Just run your fingers over it a few times. And get your bone folder. press that down there. And this is going to want to pop back up, so just make sure that's stuck down really well. Okay, then we're going to do the same to this side. When you've done that, now we're going to do these sides. So you want to get your scoring tool and you just want to just tuck in those side bits here. Okay, so let me just turn this one over. And then when you fold it over, that's going to give you a perfect corner. Okay, so let me show you on this one. You see here they've got this overhang. You're just going to basically just tuck it in. Oops, sorry, off camera there. I'm just going to tuck it in, okay, like so. You see, and then when you fold it over, it's going to give you nice corners. So now again, you're going to add your glue here and here, fold them over, and the same on this side. And there we go. So now we need to get this to fold. So we're just going to slowly just lift one side up just to start it, and then you're going to get your bone folder or your scoring tool and just run it over just gently like this, just to get it to lift. Okay, and just keep going, and then it should fold over like so. Okay, and you can see there is no, because you left that gap, that big enough gap, it's not tearing. So you do the same to this side, and like I said, it does seem a bit flimsy at the moment, but once you've added your paper and everything, it's all going to thicken up. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so now we need to cover the inside. So you're going to need 2 pieces of cherry cobbler that measure 6.5, so 6.5 by 5 7/8, and they're going to, one's going to lay there, the other one's going to lay here. Okay, and they will just meet in the middle, and then the binding will cover that section in the center like so. So again, add glue to this piece. Position it on there, and this will leave about a 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Okay. Press that down. And then go over it with your bone folder. Okay, and then we need to get that crease to fold the book back up again. So ideally you want to let the glue set, but if you just lift it slightly and keep your fingers there when you lift it, again run over it with your bone folder, and you'll see if this glue's not dry it will start to lift. Okay, but just keep going over that with your bone folder and pressing it down. Okay, so keep going, and like I said, if it starts to lift, just press it down and it will eventually stay stay stuck down. Okay, do the same to this side. So you can see it's lifting there in the centre. Just press it down. Okay. But like I said, ideally you want to wait till the glue has set, but I haven't got time to do that, so. But just keep pressing it down, telling it who's boss, and it will do it. So, and as you can see, it's lifting there slightly, so just push it back down. Okay. Press it all down on both sides. Okay. And there we go. And that's your little folder. So now we're going to add the binding. So you just need to add some glue to the back. Make sure there's plenty of glue on there, again, because this is the bit that's going to be doing the most work. Position that in the center, and you want to make sure it's all about level, top, bottom and the sides, and close it up just to see it's all straight, because if it's not, then it will affect your pages. And it's quite difficult to see when it's on the same coloured card, but I think that looks okay. So again, I'm just going to close that up just to see, and that bit's still lifting, so I'm going to press that down. Okay, once you're happy, press it all down. There we go. Okay, so can you see? So now we're going to add our pages to our book, and then we can add the papers to the front and the back. So now we're going to add the paper bags or the pages to the inside of our book, and as you can see, I've done 3 already just to save time. And you want to start with your back cover first, and then go towards the front, okay? Because the back one will be the one where you line the rest of your pages up with the last page, if that makes sense, okay? So you need to add some glue to both sides of this flap, so I'm going to do that. And again, I'm using wet glue. Whoops. It's going to get covered up anyway. So I've added the glue to both sides of that flap, and you want to attach this part over that flap that you put the glue on, and just stick it over the top and just line it up to the score line. You don't want it sat right on it, you just want it just to line up just before that score line, and then lay it flat, and then you can line it up with the other pages, and you can adjust it on this side here. it's going to want to move, especially if you're using wet glue. So just make sure it's all lined up before you press it down. So there we go. Okay, so I'm going to press that down, and with you laying it flat and then sticking it down, this helps it the page to stay flat like that, and it's not going to want to just stay standing up. Okay, so I'm going to press that down, make sure it's sealed up this side, and there we go. You see, and as you can see, the pages all lay flat. So yeah, it's looking good. So we're going to add the paper to the front and on the inside, and then I'm going to have a second video where we're just going to decorate the album. Okay, so you're going to need 4 pieces of Whisper White cardstock that measure 5 5/8 of an inch by 5 3/4, and I've distressed the edges with cherry cobbler marker pen because I haven't got the ink pad. Okay, and then I've cut 2 of the same design for the front and for the side of the book, and then 2 for the inside. Okay, so you're going to need 4 pieces of the patterned paper that measure 5 1/2 by 5 5/8 of an inch, and then for the binding here you're going to need 1 piece of Whisper White. Again, I've distressed the edges with cherry cobbler ink, 5 3/4 by 1 1/4, and then the pattern paper is 1 1/8 of an inch by 5 5/8 of an inch. So we're going to start layering these together. Okay, so I'll do one with you, and then I'll pause the video, and then we'll attach them to our book, or our album should I say. Now I'm not going to add any ribbon to keep the album closed because this album wants to stay shut on its own, which I'm pleased about, because you don't always want to add ribbon to, you know, close your book. So okay, so I'm going to press that down, and then you'll do the same with the other pieces, and then I'm just going to do this section here with you. Okay, and then just lay them together. That doesn't look very even. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together, and then we'll start adding them to our album. Okay, so I've added all my pieces now, and I've stuck them on the back and on the back cover as well. Okay, so I'm going to add this one to the inside cover. Okay, so we're going to open it up. And lay that down. Press that down. There we go. Now we're going to add the front cover. Make sure it's all level. Once you're going to press that down this side. And then finally we're going to add this side. And then press that down. And there we go. So that's the front, the side and the back. And then we open it up. And then we've got the photo mat here and photo mat that pulls out. Pocket here. With photo mat in there, and then some flaps. Again, a photo mat here. I may add some ribbon to these sections here, I don't know, or I might just leave them as they are. But yeah, I think it's turned out really, really nice. And using those gift bags. And I like the fact that it's wanting to stay shut as well, and it's not wanting to pop open. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. And like I said, that card that we used to make the covers, you can see it's thickened up with all the cardstock and paper, so love it. So yeah, so join me for part 2 next week, where we will be decorating the album and finishing it off. And I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Please head over to my blog for all the details of this project, and I will leave the link for that in the video description bar, as well as my Stampin' Up! Online store as well. So take care everyone, and I will see you soon.